Tuesday, Joe. Do you know where you're supposed to be on Tuesday? At 8 o'clock?
Right here.
Central, 9 o'clock Eastern time. Are you in the right spot?
I hope so. It's been a long day.
Dude, last week was a long day. I feel like I've got just a little more pep in my step this Tuesday. Hey, are we live? Let's. Joe, you see me live? Maybe it's my phone. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, we're live. Okay, good. See, I try. You kind of have to pay attention to the phone just to make sure everything's going good, like out in the real world. Oh, but we live. Hey, what's up, y'all? Johnny, John, Super TA out in the lawn. What Little Org One. Hey, appreciate y'all being here. It's another Tuesday night, and we are live. Hogs are on right now. Oh gosh, Joe, what did I tell you it was a while ago? 14-3, 16-3 now. 16-3 in baseball. Hey, if this is your first time joining us, you are in on the Pre-Scalp. The Pre-Scalp is the 5 minutes before the show begins. It's our chance to just shoot the breeze off topic of what we're going to have for the show. And then we will get things cranking right at 8 Central, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And we got a lot of good stuff planned tonight, don't we, Joe?
Yes, we do. We got we're getting a little Sandy in the sandbox.
Ooh. Did you see my comment on your thing? I said, who's Sandy?
Yeah. Sandy is SpongeBob SquarePants' girlfriend.
Is that really?
I think so. I haven't watched.
Oh, sure, Joe. Sure. Do your kids watch SpongeBob SquarePants?
Nah. We limit them to their screen time.
Dude, we are the same
really
way.
Do. Yeah.
I think about
they might watch 15-20 minutes a day.
Oh, really?
I mean, very rarely will we watch a full movie in all one sitting. We usually try and split it up, instead of sitting there for like a 2-hour movie. And they watch both, English and Russian, cartoons, because they understand the language.
Joe, tell people that they're bilingual, right? Not just English. They got Russian in their pocket as well.
Yeah. So my wife, she's originally from Belarus, and she moved here. She went to school at 16. She came over here with her and her sister, and then she went to college here. She went to Rutgers here by me, and she's been here ever since. Her dad's actually probably going back in May for a little bit. He's not a citizen. He don't know any English.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Her thank God, her mom, she knows English, and she's actually a citizen now.
Oh, cool.
So. Yeah.
When I was a reporter in Panama City Beach, Florida, when I worked in the TV news business and was a weather anchor as well, I got to cover, one of my assignments one day was to go cover a nationalization ceremony. And I tell you what, that was probably one of the coolest things I got to report on the whole time I was there. Seeing that process and the extreme joy and just happiness that these people were going through as a family at this ceremony was really cool. You could tell how big of a deal this was and how much it meant to them to become a U.S. citizen. Sometimes we take it for granted, but it was really a very cool experience to go cover that.
Yeah, I mean, some of the questions that they have to know, that actually would be a fun topic one night. I'm going to look into that. Actually, us going back and forth on the questions on there, because some of them, most Americans would not know.
No, I bet you they wouldn't, man.
And it's pretty crazy that we actually put these people through this, and we'll do that. I'm gonna write that down. Questions. So it'll be fun. It'll be like
you're gonna ask me or you're gonna ask the chat.
Yeah, both. We could do both. I think it'll be fun. It'd be really fun to do.
What's weird is I'm reading a book with we have these little times during the week that we have kind of extra chances to get with our students and go over material. We're actually reading a book. I'm a huge Titanic fan, the history of the Titanic.
Yeah, my son is really into it right now. Yeah.
So we're reading a book of those. I could probably tell you a whole lot of Titanic facts that most people would know, but I bet you'll stump me on some of the U.S. facts. Hey, Joe, we are in the 5, 3, 2, 1. It's go time, Joe. Here we go. It is Joe. It's not just the show or the program with no name anymore. We are, believe it or not, the Budget Wooder Show. Hey, again, John, folks, if you're watching this show, you have every opportunity in the world to not just watch it, but to contribute to this show, whether it be coming up with a show name, whether it be coming up with topics, whatever it might be. You leave that in the chat. Joe and I go through the chat the next day. Anything you talk about helps give us some ideas for future programs. But John came up with the Budget Wooder Show, and the Budget Wooder Show comes on every Tuesday night right here on the Budget Lawns YouTube channel at 9 Eastern Time, 8 Central. And Joe, when he saw me wearing this hat, if you didn't notice the old lawn warrior, throwing it back with Joe's the lawn warrior.
Throwback.
Yeah. Joe sent me this. Joe, at the time you sent me this, did you know that you were going to be vacating the Lawn Warrior brand? Or were you still... You don't remember?
I think at the time I was still going to keep it, but I was like, transitioning to what I wanted to do next. And actually I did purchase something very expensive this week, and it's going to be featured on my channel hopefully in another month. If it takes it's going to take about a month for it to get here, so stay tuned to my channel for
that a little teaser?
Yeah, stay tuned to my channel. It's not going to be for a little bit though.
Okay.
But
well,
apparently it takes a long time for stuff to ship across the country. So
you got us on pins and needles now. But hey, I wore this today, Joe, because I have some sad news. If you've been following Budget Lawns for any length of time, Joe retired the Lawn Warrior brand. And if you follow Budget Lawns, kind of one of the staples here on the channel was my old school rocking chair in the garage. That's where Budget Lawns kind of got its start. Me just sitting in the garage, rocking back and forth, kind of having chit-chat conversations about the lawn. And believe it or not, Joe, that dang rocking chair pissed some folks off. I could never understand the people that would complain in the comments, dude, you need to quit rocking, you're making me sick, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing.
I like a good rocking chair,
Well, my argument is you must not be from the South, because rocking chairs are kind of synonymous with garage and front porch sitting in the South, and it's just kind of a symbol of relaxation. Well,
Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, the Cracker Barrel. That thing has run its course. The cushion is just all out of whack. So I'm going to take it to a thrift store and see if somebody else wants to try and revive the cushion and everything. And I have a new chair. Maybe I'll feature that in an upcoming video. But hey, we don't start any of our shows without Joe's big... I don't know if we'll say fact of the day, but thought of the day, fact of the day. Joe, you could call it whatever you want.
Today, we could just say today in history, we could say.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
So today in history, back in 1979 at 4 a.m., an automatic valve mistakenly closed at the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, culminating in a radioactive leakage.
Ooh.
And actually, there was a Netflix special documentary that came out over the summertime about 3 Mile Island. And it was like it's pretty much the closest we've ever been to a Chernobyl in our country. So if anyone's interested, go check it out. I talked about Chernobyl earlier in another episode there's an HBO documentary, or it's actually not a documentary. It's actually it's a series. It's really good. It's amazing with these power plants, how powerful they are and how dangerous they are at the same time. But yeah, so that's today's in history, and we just
Joe. Hey, let me stop you. I know where you're going, and you had not told me that fact of the day, and it's kind of fitting that you bring up a fact like that, because if you know me, Joe, I watch the news. I'm a news fiend. Is that the right word? But regardless, you brought us a fact today that was kind of almost a disaster, right? And it seems like you can't turn on the news these days, and it's really painful because you turn on the news and just about everything is, it's just awful. And part of me wants to start a YouTube channel aside from this lawn one that's just called the Good News Network or something that's just nothing but good news. I mean, from the chocolate factory explosion in Pennsylvania, I'm sure you heard about that just over the weekend, to a whole host of other things. But Joe, I know you wanted to mention something about the terrible tragedy going on down in over in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yet another school shooting, which, folks, we're not going to get political here on this channel, but Joe had a thought he wanted to share on that.
Yeah, we just, I mean, both of us want to send thoughts and prayers out to those families of, both the children and the teachers that passed away. And, we don't, like Travis said, we don't want to get political on the show, but I just, this one really bothered me the most after watching the body cam, when they were walking down the hallways and seeing the little cubbies for some of the preschoolers. And my son's preschool has those similar cubbies, and it just like, there was something about it that just, it really got to me today. And I looked up how much our Senate and our House of Republicans work a year. And on average, they work 165 days a year. Now, if an average person works obviously 5 days a week, 52 weeks out of a year, they're going to work 260 days. I think I got my math right there. What are we doing? What is our Congress doing? I mean, this stuff this needs to stop. And I'm sick of hearing, our president talk about chocolate ice cream and ice cream coming on before he makes his little speech about what happened down in Nashville. And it just really bothered me today. And I understand we have rights in this country, but we pay taxes in this country. And I talked about this to Travis before the show, and I kind of told him what I wanted to talk about. And why do we pay taxes in this country to schools, for public schools? I know this was a private school, but it still should apply to that too. Every school should have a police officer out front of the school at entryways. There's no excuse anymore that we live in a country now where if this is going to be the norm, then we need to fix it, and we need to fix it going forward. And mental health is a serious thing. We just need to take it more seriously in this country. I think everyone deals with some sort of mental illness, something from their past, or something, a depression or something, and we need to take it more seriously. And we don't. And it needs to change. It needs to change going forward. Our government needs to wake up and start working for us, and not for themselves. And this isn't for just one side of the aisle. This is for both sides of the aisle. And I'm sick of it. I'm just, it needs to stop. And I don't know how we get there other than voting new people in or what. We need to get this resolved, because these are kids. And when I saw those cubbies in that hallway, it just really hit home for me.
For those of you that don't know, Joe and I both have two kids. I've got a boy and a girl, and Joe, you got two boys, right? And they're all around the same age, from about the 4 to 6. Is your oldest 6? Is that correct?
Yeah, my oldest, he just started kindergarten this year.
So,
and my youngest is 4 and a half.
We both have kids, not in that age range. I got a 3 and a 5-year-old. No, mine's 3, about to be 4. I'm already thinking, golly, I'm already thinking to the 4-year-old age, but about to be 4. So from 3 to 6. And, when you see the body cam footage like Joe's talking about, and you see the picture of the poor girl's face outside the bus window. I mean, I just sat on the couch this evening before we came on the show, and I'll just find myself staring at my kids. And so it does, this one, they all hit home, but this one really, I think with that body cam footage that was released today, it really, really hit home. And for those of you that don't know, my wife is a second grade teacher, and I teach in a school that has 6th through 12th grade. I predominantly teach the 6th and 7th graders. So we're both in the same school district. We're both in a very, very good school district. So that's where we do feel blessed, Joe. I do have a school resource officer in my school at all times. Our district has done a really good job at trying to get ahead of things. And so almost every single school, actually, I think every single school either has a school resource officer or some form of security personnel So that is comforting going to school, knowing that we have that. But even with that, bad things can happen. But what we really want to point out in this one is, my gosh, as horrible as it was watching that body cam footage, the bravery of those men that just selflessly ran into that school, not like hesitantly, but said,
No.
let's go, we got to go, 3 more, let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, and just took off with no, and I'm sure there's fear inside, but you could not tell. I mean, this was, I mean, you sit back and you ask yourself, could I do that? I mean, it is, I like to think that if ever, faced with such a horrible situation, that perhaps I could step up to the challenge. But if we leave, let's leave this conversation today with nothing else said, but thank God for those men, those police officers that did exactly what they were supposed to do, ran in there to serve and protect, and freak heroes. Exactly. Heroes. That's my wife. They're heroes. We hear that word thrown around a lot, but sometimes it doesn't fit. It's kind of the easy word to use. It's kind of really the easy word. But this time they were heroes. And Kevin, you're right. For kids, I mean, any teacher thinks we're trained. We're very blessed. Our district has training. We go through drills. We have everything. I like to think we have everything we need and have been prepared to deal with such a situation. We just cross our fingers and pray that we never do. But today, those police officers were yesterday, but in the video we saw today, they were incredible. I mean, incredible.
And my big takeaway with the whole thing is I know I talked about it, is mental health. If you have a problem, reach out to somebody. I deal with mental health myself.
We all have our own demons, like you said,
and I'm not afraid to admit it, that I have some problems that I deal with. But if you got to talk to somebody about it, talk about it. Or if you see somebody that's struggling, talk to them and encourage them to seek help. And that's where I'm just going to leave it there with that. And I think, again, our prayers and thoughts to everybody that was affected.
Hey, Joe, I'm going to give you credit here because, this has really been going crazy in my brain for the last 24 hours. It really, really has. And I almost wanted to just not get into this conversation. Joe encouraged me before the show that, he had something to say and we should talk about it. And if these are the kind of topics you don't want to hear about, let us know. If they are the kind of topics that you want to discuss, topics in the news, good and bad, because if you don't know me, that's what my background is really in broadcast news, in weather and news. I always thought I was going to be the next big, meteorologist for the Weather Channel. So I would love to talk about this stuff. We want to know if you would love to as well. But we are going to move on with the show because today's topic.
What would your nickname be? We had a guy up here in Philly called Hurricane Schwartz.
Hurricane Schwartz. So let me tell you.
He used to wear a bow tie, and that was like his signature thing.
Well, let me tell you. The first night I was on the air in Panama City Beach, Florida, and if you've ever been to the Panhandle, they call it Lower Alabama for a reason. Like, I sound like everybody else there, but that didn't stop some folks from just ripping me night one. Like the very first night I was on the news, they had like a local message boards. Those really aren't as big. I mean, you've got Discord and all that, but we had one here that was like a TV news message board for the local area. And they had something similar to that. And of course, that night I got word that one of the first comments about me was, where did Channel 7 get their new weather guy? Sounds like he just got through bussing tables at the Golden Corral. And I was like, oh, thanks. Welcome me straight to the Panhandle of Florida. But in the end, Joe, it actually worked out to my favor because the people down in that area, guess what? When they're listening to the weather, they want to listen to someone that sounds like them. Call it redneck, call it hillbilly, call it whatever you want. It ended up working out in my favor. And hey, Joe, this is actually kind of a good segue into who our sponsor is tonight, because if you're struggling with something in your lawn, we have just the solution for you, and only a good old-fashioned redneck or hillbilly, especially from Arkansas, would endorse this one wholeheartedly. Joe, what do we have tonight for our sponsor?
So from actually University of Arkansas reached out to me for this one. Razorback Mole Patrol,
Woo, big
and
silly.
the promo code there is WoooPigSooie10. You get 10% off. They actually send you out a Razorback
No
to your
kidding.
house.
No
What they
kidding.
do, so what they do is they tranquilize the Razorback. They put it in a crate. They ship it to your house, and then by the time the crate gets to your house, the Razorback is up. He's moving around. He just wants to get out. And they train these Razorbacks right at the University of Arkansas to sniff out moles in
Ooh.
your yard. So if you have a mole problem, contact University of Arkansas and get one of the Razorbacks to come out to your house. And then once you get done with the Razorback, they give you a tranquilizer gun. So you shoot it and then it goes to sleep, and then you got to pick it up, put it back in the crate,
And send
and
it
then
back.
they send it back. That's how it works. That's what they told me. I'm just
Hey, look,
it's pretty amazing that they do that. But yep, that's our sponsor. For
at least we could have a good laugh about the Razorbacks tonight. We were hoping we would come in headed to the Final Four, but unfortunately, the Razorback Patrol could not sniff out a Husky and take it down. I'm telling you what, though, UConn is going to be dang near impossible to beat with the teams that are left. UConn is insane, a buzzsaw. I mean, they beat Gonzaga worse than they beat Arkansas. And we did. We ran into a buzzsaw.
Gonzaga's overrated.
Yeah,
that coach, he's they're in that I don't even know what their conference is. I don't know what it's called, but that conference is so overrated out there. I mean, these teams that some of these conferences they come out of, it's just a joke. But whatever.
They got smoked by UConn. I wouldn't be surprised if UConn wins the whole dang thing. But Joe, we could talk about sports, and we will talk about sports here in a little bit. But let's talk about what we've all gathered for here tonight. I know it's too early, and it seems like, Joe, we every week we kind of go, is it too early for that? Maybe but maybe it is, but maybe it's not. The one thing that seems like is always on the top of people's minds every single season is leveling their lawn. It's just a bumpy mess. They can't stand to bounce that lawnmower over it again for another season. So they're always asking, how do I level my lawn? What equipment do I need? What material do I use? When do I do it? And there's a whole host of other questions. But let's get one of those out of the way right away. And Joe, I think you have a little bit of maybe a rebuttal to that. But if you ask me and you're going to level your lawn, you have to use nothing but one thing, and that is
one big pile of sand.
Joe, it took me a second. I did not actually catch that when you did that. But that's Goldblum, Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park. When I was entering these pictures into the OBS system, I was like, wait a second, who's the dude standing behind the freaking pile of sand?
It took you a little bit to edit that one, but yeah, it came out good.
I was like, wait a second, who's a homie standing behind the sand? And that's Jeff Goldblum. So look, Joe, I know you've used other materials besides sand, but let's kind of break down if we were going to give kind of a universal playbook. Now that's hard to say universal because in lawn care we know there's really not a whole lot of universal stuff. But if we were going to give like a universal playbook, we could start with material. Most people are going to use sand, right? And then once they put that sand on their lawn, they got to have something to spread that stuff around. And Joe and I both have done some DIY leveling tools. So Joe, I want you to take the reins on this one and tell us about the one that you made and how it kind of compares to some of the high priced ones that you can actually buy right off the internet.
So believe it or not, I actually was inspired by your video back in the day.
Oh, and, when you hated me, right, Joe?
I didn't hate you at that time. I was like, what's this redneck kid, from Arkansas doing? And yours was just a little too complicated for me to follow. And I was just like, I could probably do it something different. So what I did was I just got like this angle iron bar that you can get at like Home Depot, and I just got the 90-degree angle ones, and I basically just made like a little template. I believe it's I don't know. It's probably about like maybe not 4 foot, maybe like 3 foot wide.
Which is, I think they come in like 36,
Yeah,
48,
I think
right?
yeah, something like that. Yeah, so it's like about like the length of a regular level rake, and yeah, and I found this wooden broomstick pole, but it's really long, and I got this at my Ace Hardware because I couldn't find. I was thinking about using a uh what do you call it for painting, a roller, like a paint
Oh yeah,
roller,
paint roller.
and you can unscrew the end off the roller part.
It's hard to
But I
find
couldn't.
something to screw, like,
Yeah, and I was trying to find one where it was solid and you couldn't like make it longer because I didn't want to like accidentally like twist it and it will like come and make it extend longer. So I found this wooden pole, like I said, at Ace, and I used like a PVC T in the middle and just used some bolts, and it worked great. I mean, it really held together as long as the bolts were screwed in pretty tight to each other. Um, I forget exactly how much it costs for me to put it all together. I know it was less than what a regular level rake
I
would
mean, if you get one of the
cost
ones
me.
from what's the big company out there? The
Landsy,
not Landsy, the other one. Uh,
um,
4 or what is it? RL Pro? What the heck? I don't freaking
oh
know.
yeah. I know
It's
who you're talking about. I can't think of the name though.
every
Maybe somebody in the chat will probably know. I know it's like RL something or something. Yeah.
everybody gets that one. It seems like.
Yeah.
And look, I wanted to try something. I just sometimes you want to try to make something just for the fun of it. Which and that's probably why you did yours, and that's why I did mine. When I did mine, I did not have anything to cut anything at the time, so I made a DIY lawn lute is the same thing as like a level rake. I think the lute is like the isn't that the English term for something like that?
I think it is the English term.
So I wanted something that I could just put together with some simple tools out of a toolbox and not have to cut anything, not have to measure anything really at all. So I bought these. I think these were like rebar stakes.
That black pipe there, that had to cost some money.
It really wasn't. It was just a piece of gas piping out of the plumbing section. I think the whole thing was like $60 for this. But I will tell you one thing: you better have some muscles. Before inflation. That was before all that. The really good thing is it's super heavy.
It does look heavy. Yeah.
It was heavy and it was tough to use, but it was only 24 inches. And the only reason I wanted it was for like the hell strip between the sidewalk and the street. But the heavy actually works because it kind of dug down into the ground and didn't float across the top of the sand. Would I make it again? No. Let me change that. Yeah, I probably would if I wanted a project. That's really why I did it. But I think now I've seen so many other good ways of doing it. I have better tools now. I'd probably do something like what you did. But this thing worked. All I had to do was screw these things together with some of these straps and put a gas pipe in there, and bada bing, bada boom, we were out leveling the lawn. And I've got a video of me using that. We're gonna show that in just a second. And hey, John, I'm glad you said that. All right. So I have not used it yet, and I don't buy stuff. Okay, I don't buy stuff unless I absolutely need it, and I did not need this. Okay, but I bought one. I bought one of the Ryan Knorr Landsy leveling rakes. Now, I've had this for well over a year now. Why did I buy this? I bought it because it was on sale for like $99. And I remember the hit piece that was done out by another YouTuber that just completely demolished the brand and the name and the product and its reputation. So I thought, surely it could not be that freaking bad. So I said, you know what?
Did the paint come off on you?
I haven't used it yet. It's still in a box. So
that's right. You got to take it out of the box, and it gets on your hands.
It's still in the box, and I just wondered what in the world could he have been doing to that thing? Biting on it with his teeth? Was he like pressing down with like some sort of
R&R products.
R&R products.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I mean, surely there's no way it was as terrible as he made it out to be. Not to mention that once someone like that starts, putting something down, what does the rest of the bandwagon do? Oh yeah, I had problems with that as a piece of crap too. Blah 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 blah. Oh come on, it can't be that bad. So if you want to know a very honest, no agenda whatsoever about the Ryan Knorr level rake, stay tuned because I'm going to be leveling the backyard this past summer. This past summer. I didn't do it last summer. That's why I bought it, but I didn't get around to it.
I want to see your hands when you make this video. I want to see you unboxing it. You got to have an unboxing video.
Lots of razor blade cuts and swift transitions and all that stuff.
Smoke and lights and everything.
I got my fog machine on order. Don't worry. But that I did not get around to it last summer. But I've had that thing sitting in a box. It's probably got spiders all in the box, and it's out in my garage. And that is coming this summer on the back lawn when I level it. So you'll want to see that. Hey, Joe, we're going to talk about a little bit about our process, but if we're talking about equipment and what you need, look, your material, most people are going to use sand, right? We just showed you a couple DIY options for a rake or something to, smooth out the sand, press it across your lawn to where it falls into the low spots. But you really use just about anything you already have around your house. You could turn it into something to move sand around. It's really not that complicated. If you have nothing but a big garage push broom in your garage, you can use that.
Yeah. Maybe on sand.
Hey, I don't George, know. You're going to find out this summer whether or not everything you said about the Ryan Knorr leveling rake was bogus and for attention, because guess what, buddy? I got one. And I'm going to give folks the real deal Holyfield, okay? It's coming this summer, buddy. All right. I'm glad you're watching. But yeah, you can use a garage push broom, just a push broom. And that will work just fine on your lawn.
Maybe on sand, maybe not so much topsoil or compost. It's a little bit heavier, but I think sand definitely on with a push broom.
Hey, Joe, we're going to play this video because in this video, you're going to see a little bit, and there's no sound to it, but you're going to see pretty much my full process of leveling a lawn all in about, what was it, Joe, 60 seconds? So
yeah, I had to trim out a lot of you rocking your rocking chair. I forget if you were in a rocking chair on that video or not. I can't remember now. But.
Joe, I actually think you jacked this from one of my more recent videos where I already had it edited down.
Okay.
All right, so hey, let's play this video, and I want to point out another tool in here that you can use to level your lawn. But this short 60-second video is seriously going to show you every single step you need to know to level your lawn. Okay, let's rock and roll on this. So first thing I do is look. Oh, what is that, Joe? It's another big giant pile of sand. So I go to like a local place that sells everything in bulk, and this is masonry sand, just screened masonry sand. That's all you need. You can buy it in bulk. If you've got a truck, you can have it delivered. And the whole idea is get the sand out of your truck and onto your lawn. And this is where my OCD comes out, Joe. I have to put them in like perfect piles all across the lawn, and then just knock the freaking piles over. It's really rocket science if you think about it. Knock the piles over, and that's the piece of equipment right there, the drag mat, Joe. There's me using my DIY Lute, which it was pretty heavy. I got a good workout. But the drag mat, Joe, is like, if you can get one of those, come across one, I would highly recommend that. That one I actually got on Facebook Marketplace, brand new for $40. And I will go across the lawn over and over and over till I don't see it anymore. Really like heavy, thick piles of it. And then you need to water it in. That is not shown in this video, but you need to water it in. And then there's kind of just not a time lapse, but going through time. I think this was only like a few weeks from the time I leveled to the time things were pretty much recovered and back to normal. But the leveling rake is one of those that I would say is, look, they're nice, but if you can get your hands on one of the drag mats, those are kind of expensive too. Have you ever looked at
Yeah,
one,
they
Joe? They're
are.
like 100 something
Yeah,
bucks.
yeah. I looked at one at Tractor Supply, and I know they're not cheap.
And I was down in my wife's hometown down in Texas and was just on the Facebook Marketplace, and some dude had gotten this like loot of products that were used to take care of some junior baseball fields in town, and they were brand new, and he just had to get rid of them. So he had these brand new drag mats for 36
Tell you what,
bucks, or it was a 36-inch or something like that for 40 bucks.
your neighbor's lawn looking pretty good there at that one picture.
The one to the left of mine,
The one to the right, it was like a little bit before here. It was his lawn looked pretty good.
my two neighbors over there did a pretty good. My one to my left, he really took care of his lawn. He probably spent just as much time out in his as I did.
Yeah.
He was a fanatic about it too.
Did your neighbors ask what you were doing to your lawn at all?
No, it's kind of sometimes it's kind of a guy pride thing. They're not gonna really ask. They've already got it all figured out. So, but hey, I had a great relationship with my neighbors, so like I didn't care if they asked me or not. But one I thought I could give him a few pointers, but I'd rather stay cordial with the neighbors than to compete all the time, because you got to dominate those neighbors, Joe. You gotta have that clear domination.
Yeah.
Joe, let's now that we've kind of looked at how I did mine in the past, you went a different route, it looks like, on yours, and you went with another material. So give us kind of the lowdown on what you did with this one.
So this is a big pile of a mess. This is actually that year was actually topsoil, and I'm just showing people like the different shovels that I use. I use a flat shovel to for me, I like using a flat shovel when you get to the end of a pile when you're doing mulch, and I like using a pitchfork when I'm at the top of the pile for either like mulch or something like this. And that's basically what I'm just trying to tell people in my video here. And then I got that gorilla cart that year, and
get one of those, Joe. The gorilla carts.
God, they are a lifesaver. And I got the bigger one. And that thing is, I swear, if you have a wheelbarrow, throw it out, get yourself a gorilla cart. You'll thank yourself later.
Absolutely. What is this thing, Joe?
That's a landscaping rake, and that's like a 36, 40, whatever, 8-inch wide blade. It's a big blade, and I just use that to push it out. And then I'm using my actual DIY lawn level.
That thing glides across the lawn, dude.
Yeah, it was really gliding, really nice. It was getting in that grass, in the grooves there in the grass, and it did a good job. I mean, it was like it did what it needed to do, and that was 2 years ago. So that was the first year I overseeded with Mountain View seed, and I was happy with it. And it was just a lot of work. That was probably like August, so it was hot. I think I just got back from visiting my parents in South Carolina, and I got it delivered like that weekend. And I usually just get it in bulk delivered right to my house, dump it right on my my driveway. Mulch, I do the same thing. It's just cheaper. And I just, like I think I said it in the video, like if there's a little bit of black, I'll just get my power washer out there and power wash it off. And that's how I usually do it.
You worry about the cleanup when the job on the lawn is done. So at this point, folks should know, hey, look, you're gonna use a topsoil or a compost or sand. Now, sand, I'm going to say just go with sand if you're Bermuda, a warm season turf that's cut real low. But Joe, you're tall fescue, so you have to take into consideration a little bit difference in mow heights and growth and stuff like that when deciding what material you're going to use. But you're most likely going to use sand or mixed with a compost or a topsoil.
If I had to do it over again, I would probably have used probably either. Doesn't really matter. Either topsoil. Topsoil was good there because I scalped it real short. There wasn't much grass. If I had a lot of grass, I probably would use more of a compost. But it's just personal preference, really. And
well, people ask me all the time, why do you use sand on the Bermuda? I'm like, well, I grew up on a golf course, and you think about what golf courses use, especially with the warm season turfs, it's all sand. I mean, Bermuda just loves to grow through the sand. So you know what material you're going to use. You've seen some of the equipment in the Gorilla Cart. I think we would all agree you've got to have one of those. Now, another big question is when do I do this? Joe, you just mentioned that you did it in August when it was super hot. Uh, I've done mine in July when it was super hot before, and I have since moved it up to about the second week of June if I'm going to do it, because you, regardless of what your turf type is, you want it to be its most active growing season when it's growing very quickly, very vigorously, whether that be in the spring or the fall for a cool season turf or the summer for a warm season turf. Whatever it is, all you need to know is when it's growing at its most vigorous, like high speed rate. That's when you want to level your lawn, because that's going to help it recover so much faster. And then you're going to not risk smothering it so much, right?
Mhm.
So when you put your material down, how deep will you go in a lot of spots?
Well, see, like this was kind of different. Like that scenario was kind of different because pretty much the lawn was I was just there was a lot of bare spots. I kind of started over. So I was just trying like I was just trying to, fill in kind of some of the spots that felt low, and I just kind of just did enough where I just felt that it was, nice and smooth and leveled. Um I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to go and cut back on costs this year. I could use some little bit of compost probably in certain areas of my front yard, but I don't know. I think it's cool season's a little bit different. I mean, I don't know if I
You
would
can't
be
get as aggressive, can you?
no, I don't think I would throw a ton of, material out on the lawn and expect it to grow in, vigorously like a Bermuda would. I mean, it's probably, I mean, I'm sure it's possible. I mean, but you run the risk of, if you don't get it down through that grass canopy and get it down to that soil canopy. I mean, and you're smothering that grass,
You could
and
cause
then
yourself more
you could
harm
cause
than you
yourself
would good.
harm. Yeah, exactly. So I would, if anything, I would recommend everybody to do it if you're going to do like an overseed and you're really going to scalp it low and you're going to throw some seed down and then that seed's going to grow in, with what your top dressing that you're putting down. So I mean that's what I would do.
Hey, Rob, thanks so much for that. We appreciate you, man. Rob, among many regular flyers here on Tuesday night. Thanks so much, dude.
Thanks,
That's
Rob.
awesome. Hey, yeah, you're right, Joe. I think you got to be a little bit more conservative when you're working with a grass like you have, tall fescue. But, and I have to tread a little bit lightly because I'm willing to take a little bit more of a gamble. And if I screw up, it's okay because it's my fault, but I have to be careful with what I tell people. But when I tell people, they ask me how much. There's kind of a rule of thumb. You're going to use a yard of sand per 1,000 square feet.
Hmm.
So if you got 3,000 square feet, you need 3 yards of sand. Now, I can tell people that because that is the safe answer. Okay. That is like the
Hmm.
stock answer that's kind of commonly understood in the sand leveling world. For me,
Hmm.
I've used 2 yards before on 1,500 square feet. I am okay, like just swallowing the Bermuda up because I know that if I water it properly afterwards, and I've done everything as far as the fertilizer before I throw sand down, and then I'm going to throw a little fertilizer on top. It's going to grow back so fast with the hot temperatures and the fertilizers I've fed it that it's going to grow so fast that the sand cannot hold the Bermuda down. It will just spring right back up through it. So yeah, telling that to people, I try not to get their excitement levels up, thinking they can just go ham on it. But the general rule of thumb is 1 yard of sand per 1,000 square feet. But that I would only hold true for Bermuda. I'm seeing in the chat that, of course, like we've already said, cool season turf is a different ball game.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Yeah, I mean, it's just different. I mean, obviously, tall fescue is tall. It's called tall fescue for a reason. You got to leave it high as opposed to, if you're over, if you're top dressing a KBG that's lower. You know, I know I know that the turf farm, Taco Turf Farm, I know they do some sort of top dressing in certain spots of their, where their farms at. And they usually just use like sand, because like Pat was saying, I mean, we have a very sandy loam soil here in New Jersey. I know that's just the nature of our area.
We're
That's why
super hard clay, so it's nice to get some sand on there and
yeah.
get something a little bit easier for that Bermuda to go through, because the hard clay is just a nightmare. The red
Yeah.
clay is. You made a really good point a while ago, Joe. You said something about that you're trying to cut back on the expenses of stuff, and that is one warning when it comes to sand leveling. Okay, you got to go into these type projects, and I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I'm here to tell you what could happen if you don't watch it. You could go into this project, a sand leveling project, and you could end up needing a loan to complete it if you don't watch it. Okay, because when you get going, you're going to think that you've made this thing tabletop smooth, just like glass. And then, like, once it starts to recover, you're going to realize, oh crap, that's not near as good as I expected it to be. And I have seen someone, this is not an exaggeration, I have seen someone spend $600 on masonry sand all in one fell swoop because he was so hell bent on making it perfect in that one leveling project. And for me, that is just ridiculous. Do it once a year, like, and watch the progress happen over time. Not only is that fun for me, it gives me an extra project to do every year for fun.
I saw somebody last year on YouTube said that they didn't have time to get stuff delivered to their house, so they went to Home Depot, or I forget if it was Lowe's. And again, I don't know how that's more convenient to go there to not get stuff delivered to your house, but um, they bought play sand and they were leveling their yard with play sand.
If you had like this one major dip or one big hole that you could, because it's just screened. I mean, no rocks, no pebbles, nothing in it. It's designed for kids' play boxes. Like, of course, yeah, that's good. But if you're doing it on a wide scale, my gosh, you would go broke on that.
I think they might have been using a Ryan Nor rake for that project.
Did they complain about it, or were they?
I actually, no, might not have been a Ryan Nor rake. It might have been another one, because they were complaining about the other one, so they got another one. So, but anyway.
Hey, if you're going large scale, golly, you would go broke trying to do it with just a bunch of play sandbags. But that is an option, because sometimes you're going to have the utility companies, or somebody's going to jump a curb and end up in your street, and you're going to have a rut or something, a small hole that just needs to be filled in. And play sand's a good option, because you don't have to, what you would spend for bulk, you're going to waste by not needing it, unless you just want to go ahead and bite the bullet and use it across the rest of your lawn. But
or just have a nice big sandbox in the backyard.
Yeah, you could do that as well. And then when you finally get it all up, everything underneath there will be dead. But I'm like you, Joe. The bulk is the way to go. And I actually have a place right behind my house that sells in bulk. And this past summer, when I got 3 yards of chocolate mulch, dude, the guy asked me, he was like, "Where do you live?" And I told him what neighborhood I was in. He was like, "Dude, why don't I just follow you home and I'll just dump it right in your front yard." He drove his bucket truck down one main street into my neighborhood, drove it up to my driveway, dumped 3 yards of mulch in my driveway, and that was it, man. I had one trip, go over there, pay for it, and they brought it all to me. It was awesome. I had like a $5 bill in my pocket and just tipped the dude $5. So that was pretty sweet. So Super TA saying the play sand is not good for leveling. Are you talking on a small scale, Super TA, or are you talking on like a big scale? Because I would definitely agree on the big scale. But if I needed something just to fill in like a little yard pothole, I'd probably give it a shot. But certainly tell us there if you think that's not a good route to go.
Delivery is different in Chicago.
Yeah. Hey, so we have one more topic when it comes to, I don't know that you would call this leveling, because it's not leveling, but it is top dressing. And I know you were pretty vocal this past year about how peat moss and water ruined your lawn.
Yeah.
But one of the big hot items, I guess you could say, one of the big hot pieces of equipment over the past years. I don't know if it's like the Toro snow blowers because they were just sending those out to anybody that got an inch of snow every year, or if it's really that big of a deal. But everybody rants and raves about the
Peatmoss spreader.
oh, is it really the bee's knees as I hear all the time, or what, Joe? I've never used one. Tell us.
So I actually sold the Easy Do over the wintertime to somebody. I just was a horrible design, and
You were renting those
and
out at one time, weren't you?
the Landsy. So actually, Landsy's actually their headquarters is actually in New Jersey. It's about like 25 minutes from me in Mount Laurel, and I reached out to them last year, and they wanted me to demo one of their pull behind aerators, and it was actually a piece of junk, and I actually sold that as well. Um, yeah, it was horrible.
Did you do a
But
video about it?
oh yeah, I did. I'll send it to you.
Did you
I
publish a
actually,
video about it?
oh yeah, I didn't do a review on it. I did like a TikTok about it. I did it at my sister's house because she has a tow behind tractor style lawnmower because that's what you need for this. And we literally had like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 cinder blocks on this thing, and it was just not pulling cores out of the ground. I had to take spikes off just to be able to get this thing to actually pull cores. But anyway,
Might as well go with a little manual thing if it's that
yeah,
bad.
yeah. So, but yeah, I've used the Landsy I've rented out the last 2 years, and I think a lot of people get scared from the price. I usually rent it out for $40 for like 4 hours or something, like a Home Depot would normally do like a 4 hour rental, but I require everyone to give me $100 deposit, and then usually you can Venmo me the $100, and then I'll reimburse you the 60. But like if I don't get this thing back, like I want, like, just like Home Depot, you're gonna put a deposit down, with any kind of tool.
You're going to have enough money to
And
go buy another one to replace it.
exactly, and that's just my mentality when it comes to renting that out. And I've only rented it out probably like a handful of times, but I made back some of the 200 some dollars that I paid for it. And it is made well. I'll give them credit. I mean, it's all this crap's made in China, and
You're
again,
talking the Landsy one is made well.
talking about China again here on here.
Don't get started.
The Landsy one.
We've avoided soil tests so far, so let's leave China out of the equation as well.
Yeah. So it's held up, and I actually left it outside. I think all last year. I don't even think I put it in my shed.
See, that's Joe. That's where I'm having the hardest time.
And it held up good. It held up good.
And that's where I'm having the hardest time. I have not heard really a bad thing said about the Landsy Peatmoss spreader. How is it so good? How is it so premium and superior to Peatmoss spreaders, but somehow the leveling rake is just a pile of dog poo? Like so look, I'm in a way in jest talking about this Rhino leveling rake, but I am curious. I want to see, because I've never used a Landsy product, so I want to see, is it really as bad as some people have said? Because I know Princess Cut was not the only person that said it was bad. Other people were saying it too, so the curiosity got the best of me, and we'll give it a whirl this next summer.
Yeah, I mean, I think Landsy overall is a good company. I mean, I don't understand the whole business model because I don't know how many people need a Peatmoss spreader. I mean, there's only so many people that are going to buy one, and there's only going to be so many people that buy a lawn leveling rake. But I mean, if my Home Depot had a Peatmoss spreader to be rented out, I probably would just rent it from them. I rented a lawn roller.
No more than you're going to use it.
Yeah, and then I think Landsy sells a lawn roller now too, and it's like, I'm just gonna go to Home Depot and pay the $15 for the 4-hour rental than have something that's gonna sit on the side of my house. And that's how I felt about the Peatmoss spreader lately. Is like, well, I'm only using it once a year. I'm not top dressing my yard every year with a compost because I could probably do it faster. Because believe it or not, I don't know if we have that video, but like it empties out pretty quickly. Like it especially the 24-inch model. Like I was only able to do maybe like 2 to 3 passes on like the 700 square foot section of my lawn. I can't think of exactly how many feet it is, but I mean, it empties out quickly. So you're like, again, if you don't get their bigger model, it's going to, it's going to empty out quickly, and
Joe,
and
you
you're going to
crack me up.
constantly fill it up.
You crack me up in this video because I'm such a weirdo about stuff. Like I'm envious of people who can just rip a bag open and rock and roll. Because I would be sitting there going, okay, Peatmoss, don't fall out everywhere. Like get all of you has to get into the thing.
Screw it.
I wish I had that sometimes. No,
look at that. Look at that.
Boom, look at you. Look,
right
you just getting with it, dude. But
well, because at this point of, you know how it is when you film stuff, you get to this point where you're like, fuck, I just want to get the fuck done. Like, yeah. And it's like, I don't care if the camera's perfect or if the angle's like the greatest thing in the world. I just want to get this shit done. And I want to get inside. I want to get a shower, and I want to rest for the rest of the day.
People don't realize, like they ask me quite often, like, you don't really do a whole lot of videos of you working in the lawn. It's like,
it's a lot of work.
Just doing the videos the way I do them, and then the lawn work, and then the family time, and then everything else. Like it is, sometimes it takes a lot of the fun out of the yard work and the video making. So I have to keep them separate to a certain extent sometimes. But I'm going to try to get better at this summer, because I know a little more action shots would. Of course, having the B-roll always helps as well. I mean, look at this here. You made a good point there, Joe, because it's hard storing stuff, and I take some heat sometimes because I'm budget lawns, and just because I'm budget lawns doesn't mean that like I am trying to pinch every single penny as possible. But just like with a Peatmoss spreader, it's something you have to store. Sometimes a lot of lawn equipment is stuff that you have to store to not use very often. And it's often made with the case of like plant growth regulator. Well, you can buy it for $160 for this bottle or whatever, and it's going to last you a lifetime. And it's very, very cheap per application. Okay, I get that. It's cheap per application if you spend the big bucks on the big bottle. But I don't want to store a bunch of bottles of herbicides and products and professional type lawn liquids all in my lawn for a long period of time. Like, I know it would be cheaper to do it that way, but let's be honest, most people I talk to in my videos, they don't have the disposable income. I know I'm not going to spend disposable income $160 on one bottle of something. So even though it'll last me a lifetime, if I wanted to give a plant growth regulator a shot, a lot of these brands are coming out with like granular versions of these that you can throw out. I think BioAdvanced has one that's some sort of plant growth regulator. If anyone's used it in the chat, come on, let me know. Like I can run to Lowe's, grab me a bag of that, throw it on the lawn, see if it works, and I don't have to store something for the rest of the time. I don't want a garage that it looks like the herbicide aisle at Lowe's or Home Depot. I'm just, even though it would save me money, I'm also trying to save space and some of that.
You don't got to tell me about space. I just did spring cleaning in my garage because I'm trying to make room for the thing that I just purchased. And
so you need room.
I filled up. I have a 1-car garage, and I hate it. And we don't have a basement, and we have a crawl space, and it's pretty much you can't use it. And I threw out so much shit that I just haven't used. And my new rule is if I haven't used it in a year, if I can't sell or donate it, I'm throwing it out. It's just getting rid of it.
That's why I like moving. I hate moving, but if I do move, I get to purge, and I'll look in my closet at clothes and be like, have I worn that within the last year? If the answer is no, it's going to Goodwill, or it's going to a local place that has clothing and stuff for folks that need it, not for it to just be on a hanger in my closet. What else was it you were just talking about? You were talking about storing your Peatmoss spreader. I was thinking about, it'll come back to me. Yeah. It will come back to me. Hey, Joe, do you want to roll with
We'll
an?
defer. We'll defer that play-by-play one, I think, for another week.
Oh, you want to get back? Okay, but you still have something. Hey, folks, we want to, before we get into our next. This might be the first official segment of the Budget Wooder Show. It's kind of become a reoccurring event every single week, so we might as well just give it a name. But before I do that, Joe and I said we're going to be better about this every week, and it's hard for me to do it because I hate the. I don't want to call it begging, but it drives me. It kind of makes me cringe when I hear this. But if you're still watching and you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, leave us a chat, leave a comment after this thing is posted and made public. All that stuff really does help out the stream.
And let us know if there's something else you want us to talk about, hear about. If we want to do more, you want to hear about some more current event stuff, like let us know in the comments.
Because if we know y'all want that kind of stuff, we'll give it. Because part of us, we kind of tiptoe every week because we know folks are expecting lawn, and we love lawn, and we love talking lawns. But if you would love to talk about other topics than lawns, we would be more than happy to do that. Like we almost feel like we're staying close to home base with the lawn care talk because we want y'all to join us. So give us your feedback. But with that said, we've got Joe. We got about 4 minutes left. We're going to start a new segment. And Joe, I don't know if you remember what I told you we might call this segment. Do you remember what I called it?
Nah, actually, I forget.
We have a new segment, and today's new segment is called. Okay, let me pull this up here. Okay, we are going to call this Joe Knows Hot Takes. Okay, Joe seems to be giving us a hot take on something every week, whether it's China or soil tests. And this week, Joe Knows Hot Take is about baseball coming up. What, has the season started yet? Or are we still in
Thursday?
I knew it was coming up close. So what's your hot take this week, Joe? We got about 3 minutes left, my friend.
So my hot take this week is about Mike Trout. He's actually from New Jersey. He's from Millville, which is like 25.
And he's not a Philly, right?
He's not a Philly. Yeah, he's not a Philly. This guy, I swear, he gets under my skin. So the World Baseball Classic came down to him and his teammate. I can't say his name. Shohani or Japanese player.
He's awesome, man.
He does both hitting and pitching. And Mike Trout he struck out. In my opinion, he is the most overrated baseball player. I'm sick and tired of hearing people say he's this great baseball player. He's amazing.
Wait, Joe, save those faces for this. I want to get you up by your lonesome.
So I got the stats here for him. The last time that he made the playoffs was in 2014. His batting average is 303. Don't get me wrong, that's not bad. Home runs, he's at 350. But everyone talks about this guy like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. He doesn't want to promote the game. He had the opportunity when he was up for free agency to go wherever the hell he wanted, including his home baseball team here in Philly for the Phillies. And thank freaking God he didn't sign here. And we got Bryce Harper now, who actually does pretty good. He stepped up to the occasion last year.
And he spent some time down in the minor leagues too, didn't he? I think I watched a video where he hit a home run at a minor league baseball game because he was down there for like recovering from an injury, not because he sucks or anything. He was down there getting back to full speed.
Last year he was like 2 games at our Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, and they he hit a home run like every at bat.
It was pretty cool.
Back to Mike Trout. I'm just like, can we just move on from Mike Trout? Like, if you're not going to promote your game or want to promote your game where you guys are losing viewership, and when the MLS is actually almost more popular than friggin' baseball now, like, I'm just sick of it. I'm just sick of hearing about him. He comes, since his team don't make the playoffs every year, you know what he does in October?
What?
He goes to the Eagles games. He sits right behind the.
Well, that's why he doesn't want to make it to the.
All the time they show him and his smug ass face at the Eagles games.
Sorry, I bet you that clap was loud in people's ears.
I'm just like, stop, just stop. He's a loser. It's the reason why he's here in October.
Is my face really as red to y'all as it is to me is my face really that red? Like it feels
It
like
is right now. Right now, it is. Yeah,
it feels like it's the hat.
That, when you put on that Lone Warrior hat, you get like a new.
I feel like I am, and I even told myself when I wear this,
something comes on to you. You know,
when I hear, hey, we're almost done, Super TA. Hang in there. Thanks if you do pop out. Thanks so much, buddy. We appreciate you. We're about to wrap this up. We just went over the 1 hour mark, but this hat is making me freaking burn up. So. Joe, I love the hat. Thanks for sending it to me. But believe it or not, like I am getting just a little bit toasty in it. So, Joe, do you have any parting words for folks this evening?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about sand leveling today, but again, we thought it was a little bit too early, but it's never too early to plan stuff. Think about where you're going to get it from, the stuff that you need, get ahead of the game. That's kind of what we talked about last week. Get ahead of the game so you're not just, willy-nilly, just hopping right into it. Plan ahead. Get your head start now. Hey,
and speaking of planning ahead, Joe, plan ahead to be here again next Tuesday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 Central. Give us your feedback. We're going to start planning for next week's show as soon as we finish this one. Thank you so much, Super TA.
I already got sponsors emailing me, so we're good to go.
We can't wait to hear who those sponsors are. Hey, y'all, thank you so much for joining us for the last hour or so. We really do appreciate it. Y'all are the reason why we're doing this show, and we hope we'll see you again next time.